If you consider yourself a leader, you have a team, I want you to do a quick audit, okay? Do a quick attendance of who's on this call already. Identify one of your top leaders who's not on the call. Text them, tell them to get on the call right now. Unless you're driving, like Reggie's driving out there. Don't text and drive. Be safe. Be safe. But if you're in your office, you're somewhere safe, text somebody who's not on the call, tell them to get their butt on here. All right, all right. So, hey, real quick, we're going to get some interaction because Dan wanted a lot of interaction on this call. I want to know who considers himself a leader, right? If you consider yourself a leader, drop me in the chat right now as we get this call started. Are you a leader? LJ, are you a leader? Look, he was trying to get away.
Yes, sir.
Back. LJ is a leader of leaders. Dropping me in the chat so I know who I'm talking to today. Okay, man, let's start setting some records on these calls. All right, let's keep growing, going. You know, make these things huge. This is where the growth occurs. All right, so let's get going. I'm a big stickler on time. I want to make sure that I respect your time. You guys respect my time, right? So let's go ahead and let's get this party started. When Dan and I were talking about today's meeting and the topic, I was fired up. This is one of my favorite topics of all time. And this topic is leadership. All right. We are going to talk about leadership today. When I got started in this business, this industry back in 2014, all right, I was forced to take a leadership role. Okay. Because when I got introduced to this business, there was nobody in the state of Florida. So if you guys don't know me, my name's David Henning. I'm a national marketing director. I am based out of Tampa, Florida. Okay. And when I got started in this industry, there was nobody in my area. There was hardly anybody in the state of Florida when we started this thing. And as a matter of fact, the people that brought me in were pretty new to this business themselves. So when nobody else is done it, nobody else has a lot of experience, there's nobody else around you, guess what? You're forced to come in and be the leader, right? So one of the questions I always like to ask everybody when I get started is, you know, do you guys want weak leadership or do you want strong leadership? So drop in the chat, say, hey, I want weak leadership, I want strong leadership. And I'm going to tell you what, this response is going to tell me a lot about you, right? Because I don't think I've ever been so excited, so pumped up, because Vantage is such a new and young company that we're looking for as many leaders as we can get, right? This business is about leadership. There will never be an opportunity like what we have right now to come in and establish yourself as a leader immediately. Okay, so let's talk for a second about leadership and what leadership is. Okay, because some of y'all may say, hey, I'm a leader, but if you turn around and you look and there's nobody following you, are you a leader? So you got an opportunity right now to build a massive team, establish yourself as a leader immediately. So let's talk about this for a second. What is leadership? Leadership is the ability to influence, guide, and inspire individuals or groups toward achieving common goals. It involves setting a direction, making decisions, and fostering an environment where team members feel motivated and empowered. It's pretty strong. It's a lot of responsibility, right? So who's ready to take on that responsibility? And today, we're going to start today off with a video by one of the best people in the leadership business. This guy, I've been to his events. I've hung out with him. I've listened to him. He is the leader of leaders, the trainer of leaders, one of the best people out there. We're going to play an awesome video in just a minute, but I'm going to read to you guys a little bit out of one of his books. This guy, his name is John Maxwell. This particular book is developing the leaders around you. Because are you really a leader if you cannot develop other leaders? So LJ's on this call, man. LJ is somebody I got a lot of respect for because I watch him grow so many other leaders. So not only is he on the leaderboard, but he dominates the leaderboard with his leaders. Okay? So an effective leader is going to develop other leaders. So in this one, I'm going to read from you guys from chapter 5 real quick, page 83. It says leadership is about equipping potential leaders. So as you bring people on, our job is to equip people. The easiest way to equip people is to get them on these calls, to expose them to the Vantage format system so they have all the tools they need to be successful. So it says right in here, equipping potential leaders. Equipping is similar to training, but I prefer the term equipping because it more accurately describes the process potential leaders must go through. Training is generally focused on specific job tasks, for instance. You train a person to use a copy machine or to answer a phone in a particular way. Training is only a part of equipping, okay, that prepares a person for leadership. When I think of equipping a potential leader, I think of preparing an unskilled person to scale a tall mountain peak. His preparation is a process. Certainly he needs to be outfitted with equipment such as cold weather clothing, ropes, picks, and spikes. He also needs to be trained on how to use that equipment. So our job is to get people on these calls, to get the training, to get them with the carriers that we work with, to give them the tools, the technical stuff. Our job as a leader is to build other leaders. All right. So you got to become an effective leader and then develop other leaders. So now I'm going to turn over. I'm going to have Dan start the video for us. It's an awesome video. Again, John Maxwell, leader of leaders. Get your hands on as much as you can from John Maxwell if you want to be a dominant leader in any industry, any business. So Dan, are we ready to go with John Maxwell?
The second law is the law of influence. And the law of influence says the true measure of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. I love this law, and when I teach it, I find sometimes it throws an emotional curve to people. Let me explain to you what I mean. You see, the law of influence says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. I find most people want to attach other definitions to leadership. They want to say things like, John, I think leadership is title. And by the way, I have a leadership title. Or I think leadership is position. And by the way, I have a leadership position. I find that a lot of people want to tie all kinds of definitions into leadership. And let me just tell you, leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Let me explain it this way. The person with the most influence at any given time, for any given reason, in any given group, is the leader of the pack. Now, what that means is there are times when influence changes. There's times when one person will have more influence than another, but when you get onto another issue or another subject, that another person that leadership may shift a little bit because we are not all strong in all areas. And so therefore, when I'm talking about leadership as influence, what it shows is there's a fluidness of leadership, and that leadership doesn't always stay with one person. In fact, let me give you a perfect example of this. As we study together the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, one of the first things you're going to realize is this. You do not do well in all 21 laws. Okay? And for those that are in the studio today, I just want you to know, you won't do well on all 21 laws. Now, here's what's going to happen. As you evaluate yourself on each law, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have a tendency to think that when you do well on a law, you're going to say to yourself, now that is a true law of leadership. Yeah. Oh, John's right on there. Oh, that is so good. He's just, that is true. And on the laws that you don't do so well, you're going to say, that may not be a law of leadership. Now what you're going to find is you're going to do well on some laws, you're going to not do well on some laws. Hey, that's the way it is. In fact, there are going to be some laws, I'll point them out to you, that I don't do well on. Now here's what I want you to see. That's why it's important for you not only to understand leadership, but that's why it's important for you to have a leadership team. That's why it's important for you to train leaders around you. And here's why. In fact, I have seen over the last 3 decades, in the 80s, I saw that the great word was management. Everybody talked about management. Peter Drucker did some great things on management. And when we got to the 90s, in corporate America, it changed from management to leadership. Now, there's a reason for that. See, managers assume things will always stay the same. Leaders assume things will always change. And so in the 80s, when things were stable, wow, we needed managers to kind of control and to make sure everything was being taken care of. In the 90s, when we got to leadership, all of a sudden it drastically changed. And we needed guys and gals and men and women that were fast-paced and could change and embrace change. And I can tell you, as now we've entered into a whole new century, I can promise you we've gone from management in the 80s to leadership in the 90s, to now I can tell you we're going, as we've entered in a whole new, not only decade, but a whole new century, we're going now to team leadership. And the reason we're going to team leadership is because the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership will teach you and me very simply that you just don't do all 21 things well. You don't, I don't. Now, the moment we understand that, I've got to have a leadership team. And the reason that I have to have a leadership team is because I need people around me that can absolutely make up for my weaknesses and can complement me. Does that make sense? So, for example, as we're teaching through here, here's what I want you to see. As I walk down here and just kind of use maybe my front row for an example, because this will work. Let's say, for example, this is my leadership team. My name's John. What's your name?
Chuck Ramsey.
Okay, Chuck, perfect. Let's say we're in one of the laws, and let's say Chuck does a better job at one of the laws than I do. One of the reasons we need to evaluate ourselves, and one of the reasons we need to have a leadership team around us is because we all need to know that if I get to the law of navigation, by the way, that's a law I'll teach later on, that's a law I'm weak in. I'm not a good navigator. What I have to realize is, but let's say Chuck is I'm a 2 as a navigator, okay? I mean, just trust me, you don't want me to navigate. I'm kind of like Mr. Magoo, okay? So you don't want that. You don't want Mr. Magoo running the ship. Now, but Chuck, let's say he's a 9. What that means is when we get to something in our organization that requires navigating, what we do is I take, and now Chuck has more influence. Because if you know Chuck's a better navigator than me, who are you going to follow? See, for too long, we've said, follow me because I have the position. How ridiculous. Follow me because I have the title. I'm the president. I'm the one that's over everybody. Follow me. That's not a good reason to follow somebody. You ought to follow a person because they're competent. You ought to follow a person because they're best. And the secure leaders, and I'll talk about the law of empowerment, that's another law, but the secure leaders look around and say, look, gang, let me tell you something. Chuck's a better navigator than me. So when it comes to navigating the day-to-day process, and we've got to navigate maybe for a 3-6 month period on some issue in the organization, Chuck's going to have the ball, and I'm going to follow Chuck. Because all great leaders are not only leaders, they're great followers. Because they appreciate the value that true leadership brings. Does that make sense? So leadership is influence. I may have influence in some areas. Chuck will have influence in other areas. What's your name?
Bridget.
Bridget will have influence. In other words, the person that is the best leader should have the most influence in that given area. Make sense? So look around you and ask yourself, who is influential and in what areas are they influential? That's why several years ago, I designed a way for people to understand influence as it pertains to leadership that would make sense to them. And in your notes, if you'll take just a moment for me, I want to draw your attention to the 5 levels of leadership. And when I use the word leadership, I could use the word influence. I use them interchangeably. And what I want to do is I want to walk you through this because this is essential for you to understand where you are as far as what level of influence you have and where you should go to increase your influence level. For example, let's go down to the very bottom step, okay? On that first lowest level, put the word position. Now, that's the lowest level of influence. That's the lowest level of leadership. In other words, when you and I go to an organization, we get a title, we get a position. Now, right inside that step is another blank. I encourage you to put the word rights because that's the key word when you're on the position level of leadership. Let me explain. When you and I have a title, when you and I have a position, we get certain rights that come with the position. Is that true? They'll look at you and say, you're going to be over these 6 people. This is going to be your department. These are your people that you're responsible for. Okay. In other words, at level number 1, people follow you because they have to. In other words, people say, why are you following that person? Well, it's because they're the boss. They're the leader. I have to. In other words, I'm under them. I really don't have any choice. Now, let me share something with you. Every one of us in this studio, every one of you that watch me do the leadership training, anybody that's just observing what I'm saying right now and understanding these levels of leadership, every one of us have had to follow people that weren't good leaders. Isn't that true? How many of you just, we don't need to call out names, okay, let's not get personal here. How many of you have at one time in your business life or your work life had to follow somebody and they were just a lousy leader? I mean, that's absolute go. That's 100% in the studio. Let me ask you this question. How many of you are sitting beside that person right now? Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. The first question is a leadership question. The second question is an IQ question. Okay, don't raise your hand on the second one. That would not be a good thing. Okay. Now, here's what I'm saying. Every one of us have had to follow people that were not good leaders. Why? Because they had the position and title. This year, I'm going to be speaking to the West Point. I'm coming in for 2.5 days. I'm going to be speaking to all the cadets. I'm going to be speaking to the leadership. And they want me to talk about the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership because they teach it there. What's interesting is my challenge as I go to West Point will be I'm going to teach the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. And so much of the service area is based on rank. And what they're going to have to understand and what I'm going to do my best to teach them, of course, they're very, very sharp, so they're going to understand it very quickly, probably much better than I ever could, is they're going to have to understand that just because people follow you because you have a position doesn't mean that you're a great leader. Does that make sense? Level number 2 is the permission level. Let me walk you through the rest of these very quickly. And the key word on the inside of level number 2 is relationships. At level number 2, people follow you because they want to. And by the way, just stop for a moment and look at your notes. There's a world of difference between 1 and 2. In step number 1, people follow you because they have to. In step number 2, people follow you because they want to, because now you've developed relationships with them. Level number 3 is the production level. And the key word is results. Basically, what I'm saying at level number 3 is this. At level number 3, people follow you because of what you've done for the organization. In other words, it's growing. The profit's better. The morale is higher. Okay, now all of a sudden people are following you because you've been successful in the organization. That's level 3. Level number 4 is the people development level. That's always my goal. When we talk about a couple of the laws of leadership, I'll talk more about people development. But at people development, the key word is reproduction. Oh, yes. People follow you there because of what you have done for them. What you have done for them as individuals. In other words, on level number 3, they follow you because of results and what you've done for the company. At level number 4, they follow you because of what you have done for them. Now they're personally growing. Now they can say, I'm a better person. I'm more effective in my job because you've equipped them, you've given them tools. And the last level is what I call the personhood level. And the key word there is respect. And basically, you have done it so well with so many people for so long that people just automatically put you up there. It's a wonderful level to be on. And I would encourage you on law number 2 just to take some time and look at the questions and ask yourself questions about influence and how you can more effectively influence others. The 5 levels of leadership, which is a lecture in itself, has its own training video because I spend a great deal of time really helping people work through those 5 laws. But for right now, the law of influence says there are 5 levels of influence, and you need to know where you are because leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less.
David, you're muted. I clicked the button too many times, Rick. So, hey, I don't know if you guys know, but I love John Maxwell. Right behind me, you guys can see that's my little John Maxwell collection. I've got about every book he's ever written. Here's the one we just talked about, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And my quick takeaway from that is, we don't have to be perfect at everything, right? a long time ago, I learned there's certain things that I don't do well. So what I do is I always embrace my strengths and I aggressively attack my weaknesses. And what I do is I find people to surround myself with who help complement where I struggle. So you guys see Maria on this call. You know, I work very closely with my wife. We have some amazing people on our team, you know, and I understand what their strengths are, and I will help leverage their strengths to make our team better. Does that make sense? Don't think you have to be great at all 21 laws of leadership. Identify people around you that have those strengths. So learn to delegate and help find people to help you with all of that stuff. And my other challenge to you guys is don't ever, ever complain about your leadership. Okay? What I want you to do is whatever you think they're lacking, you aggressively attack it for yourself and you become that leader. Okay? You get better at that characteristic and you fill in the needs that you're looking for. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our next speaker. I just went to Summer Surge in Alpharetta, and she was one of the qualifiers. And she was like so amazing. She's coming out of nowhere. Like she's putting up some crazy numbers right now. You're going to see her on the leaderboards. She's going to dominate this business. She's doing some incredible things. And, you know, there's an extra bonus. She's Vietnamese like me. She's Vietnamese like me. But she's you know, a little different because she's Vietnamese, but she comes from us via Switzerland, right, Kim?
Yes. Thank you.
And
Yes,
so we were
Switzerland.
talking and we got to talk about one of my favorite things, and that was food. But she's now one of my besties. And I think you guys are going to love what you're about to hear from her. So I'm going to turn this call over to her, and she's going to share with you guys some things that make her as amazing as she is. So Kim, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, David. Yes, food is definitely my love language. Let me start this. It's going to be easier here. Sorry, I have to move this. Can you see my slide? Perfect. So today my topic is the crusade. I love talking about the crusade. And then when Dan called me at first, I was very scared, but I want to take this opportunity to thank him for putting me in this very, very uncomfortable situation. But I'm also very grateful to have him as my coach and leader because there's a huge opportunity for growth, right? To put yourself in discomfort. So there's a lot of growth happening with me today, you guys. And I'm very grateful for Dan for always pouring belief into me. So my name is Kim Evans, Kim-Anh, for the ones who know me well. I am from Long Beach, California. So it's bright and early, 7 a.m. call. And today, before we start, I want to ask you a little question. So, oops, I got out of it. So can I just do like this? So what does crusade mean to you? Are you a crusader, right? Please ask yourself this question, and then at the end of it, maybe, hopefully I'll change your mind, right? Because my goal for today, it's obviously to bring you some value, but I also want to make sure that you ask yourself the important question, are you and your family really prepared? So a little bit of my background, like David mentioned, originally the motherland is Vietnam, but I was born and grew up in Switzerland. And I was influenced by 3 generations of doctors. So money was being made, but we never learned how to use it, right? But I was, my upbringing shaped me with lots of value in compassion, service, and dedication to others. So with those values, it actually guides me to take action, and I feel totally inspired, right? And committed to our crusade, which is ensuring that no family is left behind. So I started the business about 6 years ago, very, very part-time. Back then I had like a 3-year-old, and my job was very flexible. Like it was 5 minutes away from the office. I could bring Ben to work with me. I could even bring our dog, Sophie, you know. So I was not dissatisfied enough to even think about doing it full time. However, I was really drawn primarily to like the education part of it, right? The whole point for me to be in the US was to go to business school. They needed a business person in a family. And I got my undergrad actually in business, and I even got my MBA in international business, but never learned everything about my personal finances. And however, with all the classes we learn, being a good student, right, I basically became like a product of a business. Like I basically learn and apply everything I was taught. So the first thing we're taught, right, the 3 to 6 months emergency funds, we did that. Also basic protection, right, a term LB, we got banned college planning, opened my first IUL. And to be honest, my first small dream of this business, the first plan was to make enough money to just, max fund the IUL, which we did. And eventually we also got a few rollovers done, trust, even funeral planning. Like, we got funeral planning through Everest. And basically I never thought further about it, but it was just easier and more honest for me to share with people if I got everything. It's just an effortless sharing. You can't, like talking about food, right? You can't tell someone how you like it if you don't have it, right? So it was just easier for me to share. And every time, we got a bigger paycheck, every time we kind of reassess whatever policy or product we can apply and add to our family plan. And it's not until COVID actually that I decided to go full time. I mean, I was kind of forced and pushed into it, right? It's just two really things who made me want to go. It's also, first of all, working, on Zoom really opened up my market. I mean, our market nationwide. I was meeting people all over the country, got new business partner and, clients all over. And also the main thing who really ticked me off and I felt the burn into me to like go and out and help more people is, I don't know if you remember back then, but there was so many GoFundMe campaign popping right and left, right? So I just realized how much unprepared people were. And also is the first time I really realized how important, right? The basic concept we teach to people, because I wasn't like super successful in a business, right? But the fact we applied everything, our family was really well. Like we were actually okay. My husband even got furloughed during COVID, right? So, but we still make the best out of this, confinement, this forced family time. So fast forward in April 2022, I was making more. And I was like, okay, it's time to open like a spending wealth account, right? It's like a second IUL, which like just designed a little bit differently and not for retirement. So anyway, in April 2022, I applied for it and I got accepted as preferred elite. So I don't know if, and for you guys who don't know and not familiar with Transamerica, preferred elite is the best health you can actually get, right? But then now in March 2023, like less than a year later, I was at Bikram yoga, which I used to go 3 or 4 times a week, and I felt something unusual while laying down on the mat. And I went to get a checkup right away. And despite any family history, I did all my medical checkup, everything was good, but I got a diagnosis for breast cancer on April 1st, 2023, right? It was not an April Fool joke. And basically what we decided, since things were moving a little bit slow, with the US healthcare system, I was able to just go back home and get treated there. And this is a picture of my boys. I was after my first surgery. I was able to, get surgery there. Also, I mean, obviously there's so many weight, struggle and stress, but one thing for sure, how we tell people the peace of mind, I actually felt it, right? Like no matter how bad, like when I left the previous picture was Ben when he dropped me off at the airport. We didn't know what stage it was going to be, but money was never an issue. Like no matter what, worst case scenario, the boys were going to be taken care of, right? The mortgage would be paid off. Matt could have stopped working. So no matter what, we never had to worry about money. I actually got 2 surgeries. So I went back there a second time. And that's the second time it was actually snowing. And then just like a little side note, talking about the business, the month I had my mastectomy in May, actually I had the surgery on the day of my birthday. It was also the biggest cash flow month I had ever in a business, right? I was just able to meet people, like continuing crusade and actually really believing how it changed my family and my peace of mind. And, you know, I was able to do a $250,000 rollover that month, sat with 2 single moms who were procrastinating, and they got everything in place. And while getting surgery, I was able to like hit my biggest cash flow, which is pretty awesome, right? And also through adversity, being a crusader, I always kind of want to learn, right? Because that's the whole point. When something hard hits, what can you grow and learn from it? And so for me, I still filed the claim just to see how the steps and the process would be, right? With the help of Rebecca Lim. And I also got some money out. I just took a loan from my first IUL just to learn the process, even though we didn't need it. I just want to learn so later on I can guide my clients through hard times. And then thankfully, you know, everything was clear after my second surgery. We didn't even need to turn on the living benefits. So my IULs and terms are still full. I didn't have to cash out anything in it. And even though this is health-wise, the best case scenario, like the most positive outcome my family could have hoped for, the negative of it is I'm uninsurable now, right? I mean, do I look unhealthy to you, right? I'm fully uninsurable. I can't even apply for at least another 14 to 15 years. So, you know, I'm very grateful that I was a student of business, diligent enough, you know, to learn and apply and put everything in place. Don't you wish? I wish I had like, you know, a bigger coverage, right? $1 million or 2 more could not have hurt. But on the other hand, being a long lifetime, you know, crusader for preparedness, I'm already looking at what else can we get, right? The next policy would be a survivorship. We'll get it for us to protect us next, since I'm uninsurable, but it's also going to be me learning how it's set up. So when I find a family, when I meet a family who's basically have a spouse who's uninsurable, I'll be able to share exactly, you know, what I went through. So I just want to leave you with this, you know, like the reflection of my story, like hopefully I moved enough of you to actually take actions, right? Because the preparedness, you know, can change your lives. It can really change. Don't wait around. Just see what you can afford and start somewhere. And then it's going to be that much easier for you to share. And also make sure you properly protect it. And also the main thing is once you got everything and you're set up, you got to share. Like you have to share with others. Like even if your family is not listening at first, share with your friends, share with people at school and other moms, because it really changed my life and it can change anybody's lives. Thank you so much. So the next person coming up, I had the pleasure actually being fed by him. I went to his restaurant on Wednesday to meet up. He was visiting California, and it's Rey Roxas. Thank you.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone doing today? Great.
Standing.
Can we please really quick unmute yourself and just say great job to Kim? like a year and a half ago, she was fighting cancer and just letting you guys know. I don't know if it was just the French accent that you guys were all just like, whoa, right? But I'm telling you, like, I don't know if anyone like really heard it. She said nonchalant, like, yeah, like a year and a half ago, I fought cancer and non-insurable, or if you guys didn't understand that. But this is a very powerful story that I want you guys to share. So please unmute yourself. Give Kim a round of applause.
Yes, Kim, great job.
Amazing job, Kim.
Very
Thank God for your
very
life, Kim.
Kim, wonderful. Wonderful job, Kim. Wonderful,
wonderful,
wonderful.
Kim.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. I wanted to share because Kim and I actually, we literally, just like I said, we were at my mom's restaurant 2 days ago, right? And she's huge on just the mission, right? Like she's really big on no family left behind. She was like, Ray, I need you to talk to this Filipino couple. We were eating so much. Kim, was that fun?
It was delicious. I couldn't even have dinner after that.
Yeah, we were just eating it up. We were having so much fun. We fed the clients or the prospects, and then we were trying to talk business, but then I think they had the food coma, right? So that's why I never really bring people to the restaurant. But great job, Kim. Happy Saturday, everyone. I'm going to get started on the training. Some of you have seen this training before, but it's really important to master the basics on this part. I'm going to be training on the 401k and how to prospect. We have like what, 2 more months left in this year, and a lot of you guys might be asking, how do I prospect someone? How do I talk to someone, right? And I'm going to tell you what you guys should do because it's very powerful. What we do, right? The biggest thing that we offer people is the IUL, the index. One of the biggest things is the IUL, right? And one of the biggest reasons why we offer it is because the money that grows there is tax-free, right? It's really, really powerful. Now, when it comes to the 401k, most people, whether you have a 401k, a 403b, a thrift savings plan, a 457, an IRA, they all work exactly the same. I want you guys to understand that. Work exactly the same. So 401k is for-profit, 403b is nonprofit, thrift savings plan, people mostly in the military and the government, right? IRA, individual retirement account, tax deferred, but then you get killed so much in taxes later. And so something I want you guys to see, and if you guys want this Excel sheet, ask your leaders, right? Or comments, and we will send this to you if you have it, if you don't have this yet, right? But let's say someone is making $100,000 a year and they're putting 6% in a 401k that the 401k is not matching, right? So doing $500 a month, $6,000 a year, every time they put money into a 401k, they save money on taxes. So in 30 years, they save $54,000 in taxes, right? Now, when that money grows, that'll grow to, God willing, to about 1.7 million. And then every time they take money out, they pay every time they take money out, they have to pay taxes. So in this situation here, let's say for the next 30 years, how would you feel if in your 401k you only save 54,000 in the next 30 years and then you paid 800,000 in taxes? Now my question to you guys is, what if taxes go up? Are taxes going to go down? Probably not, right? Let's say it goes up to 35% in 30, 40 years. You would have paid over almost $1 million while you only save yourself 54,000. Give me some emojis if you guys are understanding this, right? Because this is very powerful in this way. Like, we are here to help people save money on taxes, if not completely eliminate them. I want you guys to understand that. We help people save money on tax, if not completely eliminate them. Now, how do you set up these appointments? The first thing you want to ask yourself when you sit down with someone, write this on your notes, because I might have this on a PowerPoint, or I might share this with you guys. But if you guys take a screenshot, you're not going to remember it compared to writing it, right? So the first thing I want you to write down, right? I can tell who's writing, right? Is when you sit down with someone, do you have a 401k? First question, what do you say? Let's say you're at a party. Are you going to go to a lot of Thanksgiving parties, Christmas parties, a lot of Thanksmas, whatever parties? Do you have a 401k? does your 401k match? Right? Do you have a 401k? Does your 401k match? What percentage are you contributing to it? So imagine, Wyatt, right? You made you're putting in, you made $100 on your paycheck. You put in 6% and they're putting in 0. We're just repositioning that money. Does that make sense? Valerie, let's say that you're putting in 6%, $6, and they're only matching $3. That other $3, you're repositioning the money. I want you guys to understand this. Once I know that someone is putting past the match, or they're putting money into a 401k that's not matching, automatic client. Write that down in your notes. Automatic client. Someone with common sense and someone with money will make the common sense decision. Now, if you're you want to work in the market with people who have 401ks. If you're not working in the market who don't have a 401k or some kind of retirement plan, you're in the wrong market. When I first started, I was 23 years old. I was not working in the market in the 401ks, right? If you work in the market with 401ks, this business is so easy. I guarantee that. So, do you have a 401k? Does your 401k match? What percentage are you matching? Or are they matching, right? What are they invested in? Something you ask yourself, right? Or are they moderate? Are they conservative? Are they aggressive? Your intention, Michael, is to really get them stuck. Ask these questions, get them stuck, set up the appointment, and set it up with your set it up with your leader, whether it's LJ, whether it's Rick, right? Whether it's Kim, right? Your goal until you can figure out how to schedule to close this yourself is to get them confused, get them confused, get them stuck, set up the appointment, and then put them in front of your leader. I got really good at asking these questions like, hey, leader, and then eventually I got really good at doing it myself. Does that make sense? So do you have a 401k? Does it match? What percentage are they matching? What are you invested in? Coco, sorry, my son's right here. When you wake up at 7 a.m. and he's like, I'm awake too, Dad, right? So it's something to understand right there, right? Now, I wanted to share this really quick. Even if they are matching, right? Are there any like nurses here? Anyone in the medical field, right? Nurses do a lot of nurses stay at their job for 15, 20 years? No, right? And something to ask yourself, is there something that's called a vesting schedule? So even if they're putting money in a 401k and they're putting up to the match, let's say they're matching 3% and you put in $3, they put in $3. If you don't stay there long term, you don't even get to keep the match. It's called a vesting schedule. And this vesting schedule, I just want to share this with you. How does this work, right? I'm going to share this really quick. And if you guys have seen this before, or, let's say that you put in 6,000, they put in 6,000, but you left after the first year, you only get to keep the money that you put in, right? And typically it takes about 5 to 6 to 7 years to get all that money back for you to stay there. And if you don't see yourself with that employer for that long, to stay that long, then it doesn't even make sense to put money in a 401k. I hope this makes sense, right? Give me some emoji signs, because this is huge, right? You might talk to someone right now who has a 401k. They're like, oh, I'm putting 6% up to the match. I just started at this new job. And you ask them, right? LJ, do you see yourself there long term? And they're like, no. Well, it doesn't matter then. You're going to be getting killed in so much taxes. Something that I'm going to get a little bit technical, but not too technical right here, is I want you guys to understand this. Does anyone know anyone that has like a 401k or that has a 401k right now? Give me 1 sec. I wanted to show you. This is what I do just to bother someone really quick. I was like, hey, you have, I actually did this earlier today. Nope, excuse me. What's going on here? Sorry. How do you close this? Excuse me 1 second. Close. Okay, so right over here, I want you guys to understand this is huge. That your goal is to not piss them off, but bother them, right? Disturb them. If I met someone earlier today, a couple of days ago, they're 30 years old, they have $25,000 in their 401k, and I was like, hey, what if you're 30 years old, let's say it grows to 12%, by the time you're 70 in 40 years, can someone meet that person, please? You have $25,000 in that 401k. Thank you. And you're 30 years old. That money, without putting more money in, will grow to 3 million. And then you take out 5% a year by the time you're 70, that's 150 grand. Every year, you'd pay $45,000 in taxes. And for the next, let's say 20 years in retirement, you would have paid 900 grand, but how much taxes did you really save in that 25 grand? I hope this is making sense because this is very crazy, right? And so the goal is when you're talking to people who have 401ks is to reposition the money. You reposition money, it's so easy, right? Any questions before I move forward? Actually, I'm gonna actually have to end this really soon. But I want to end this off really quick. Yesterday I was watching a Laker game, right? And I watched the Laker game in person, and it was really powerful to watch LeBron and be with his son, Bronny, right? For 22 plus years. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing, right? And I want you to ask yourself with this is, are you watching the game or are you playing the game? Right? Are you watching the game or are you playing the game? Right? We have like 2 months left in this we have 2 months left before the year is over. Are you watching the game or are you playing the game? Or I really hope that people are going to be cheering for you, right? Your family's cheering for you, and you're not just in the sidelines. This is huge. And so when I was watching this game yesterday, in the first half of the game, the Lakers were down by 20 points. I was like, oh my gosh, this game is horrible. Kevin Durant was just killing us, right? Just killing us. And I was like, this game isn't over yet. We got 2 more quarters, right? And right now, it's fourth quarter, guys. We got 2 more months, and then before the year is over. And I hope you guys, this month of October and in November, December are the best months typically in our business. And I hope you guys win. I hope you guys imagine, Kevin, if you made $25,000, $50,000, won't you have an amazing Christmas? Right? And so I pray that everyone wins big, but I hope this training helped. Our goal in 401ks, if you talk to the right market, is to reposition money. And thank you so much. Happy Saturday. So the next person actually I'm about to introduce is my amazing brother, right? Man, there's a lot of Asians talking today, right? But it's my amazing brother Rick. I've known him for quite some time. It is his birthday, or his birthday a couple of days ago. Happy belated birthday, right? Everyone to meet yourself. But Rick, I appreciate you, brother, and I'm gonna hand it off to you, man. Always a pleasure doing business with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Actually, I didn't know that Dan did it specifically to put all the Asians in one call. So apparently he's making himself an Asian too. But anyway, thank you. So it's not about me, it's about you guys. Let's get going. Unmute yourself, celebrate. This is recognition time.
Happy birthday.
Yay.
Hi.
All right, Dan. Are you putting up the slide or am I doing it? Uh-oh.
That's why I shared it with
Are you sharing or am I sharing?
you so you can share.
Okay, hold on. Jeez. Okay, let's do slideshow. Okay, I need to share screen. All right. All right. All right. Unmute yourself, celebrate, clap for your success. And let's go. Top first category, personal points, number 25. Yennefer Corona. Number 24, Susana Fuentes. Norma Bermejo. Roberto Dominguez. Hello, anyone? Unmute. Hello.
Let's
Cheers.
go.
Any cheers?
Let's go. Congratulations.
Narcissa Homanza. Laura Finney. Kim Evans. Just heard her speak. Casti Tamavong. Nakisha Mudro. Brian Naranjo. Brian. Jeannie Betancourt.
Let's go,
Trey
Jay.
Turner.
Woo.
Amon McCarroll. And we're going to see
Armand.
him in Chicago in November. Mika
Mika.
Mitchell Simmons. Liz Todorovic. Top 10. Patricia Elizalde. Grace Kwai. Christian Coseda. Anna Munoz. Anisa Mendoza. Top 5. Rebecca Lim. And Adam Sutton. David Henning. And number one who just crossed $200,000 cash flow yesterday. Trisha Fong.
Let's go, Trisha.
Congratulations.
Personal team builders. Number 21, Shirley Rosario. Patrick Barber. Walter Alonso. Susana Rosario. Marla Barlara. Top 10. Crystal Shaka. Patricia Elizalde. Ronde Catron. Jeannie Betancourt. Anisa Melanini. Dan Ebert. I know that guy. I think. Tao Tao. Juliana Toro. Danielle Christopher. Easton West. Hey, look at this guy. He just got promoted senior associate yesterday. Michael Rossi. Top 5, number 4. Troy Ganga. Andrea Sorosa. Rey Roxas. Patricia Ortiz. Louis Jean-Bleu.
Go, Jay.
Anna Munoz. Number 3, Brian Naranjo. And there's no number 2 because 2 number 1s, Tyler Hanford and Van Her.
Way to go.
Core team points. This is your base shop. All right, number 25, Tyler Hanford. Number 24, Rey Roxas. Number 23, my team, Brianna Cole. Number 22, Dan Ebert.
Right, Dan.
21,
Hey,
Kim-Anh
Kim.
Evans. 20, Laura Finney. 19, Andrea.
Andrea.
For 18, Sid Tamavong. 17, Nakisha Mudro. 16, Brian Naranjo. 15, Yan Vang. 14, Trey Turner. 13, Louis Jean-Pierre.
All right, Louis.
Micho Simmons. 11, Liz Todorovic. 10, Ramon Soriano de los Santos. 9, Amon McCarroll. Christian Coseda. 7, Jeannie Betancourt. Anisa Menalini, my sister. Ate. Number 5, Maria Munoz. Number 4, Anna Munoz. Number 3, Rebecca Lim. Number 2, Trisha Fong. And number 1, core team points. David Henning.
Way to go,
Player of the
David.
week.
Awesome.
Core team recruits. 20, Ramon Soriano de los Santos. Michelle Chagrero, I know her. Corey Beal Sr. Amanda Lay.
Go, Michelle.
Rebecca Lim.
Rebecca.
Takaoka. Christian Coseda, number 17. Randall Catron. Michael Rossi. Number 11, Robbie Hazel. Corey Popri Brand. Dan Ebert.
And
Emma Munoz.
All
Amon
right,
McCarroll.
Corey. Awesome.
Anna Redrick. Number 8.
Let's go. Let's go.
Rey
Ray.
Roxas. Jeannie Betancourt. Anisa Menalini. Number 7, David Henning. Number 5, Brian Naranjo. Van Her. Number 4, Maria Munoz. Number 2, Andrea Sorosa. And number 1, Tyler Hanford too. And number 1, Louis
right.
Let's go, Louise.
Achillian
LJ.
Louis Jean-Pierre. I actually did have to Google how to say that. Frontline points, your frontline leaders, including yourself. Top 25, Sonia DeCero. Number 24, Kim-Anh Evans. Oh, she
Thank
spoke.
Kim.
Laura.
Laura.
Finney. Number
Go,
22, Rey
Laura.
Roxas. 21, Nakija Mudro. 20, Dan Van. 19, Mika Mitchell-Simmons. Liz Todorovic. 17, Ramon Soriano de los Santos. 16, Sid Tamavong. 15, Trey Turner. 14, Elisa Mendelini. 13, Amon McCarroll. 12, Pao Tao. 11, Andrea Sorosa.
Wow.
Go,
10,
pal.
top 10, Emma Munoz, Jeannie Benincourt, Brian Naranjo, Maria Munoz, Rebecca Lim,
God, Dan.
5, Dan Ebert, Trisha Vaughn, 3, Christian Cressida, 2, David Henning, and 1, number 1, Louis Jambert.
Hey.
Wepa.
Way to go,
LJ.
JB.
Frontline recruits, top 20, number 23, Sharon Ace. Thank you yesterday for congratulating me on Facebook. But this guy, I kind of know him. Ruben Gomez, Trey
So, Rick.
Turner, Randall Cadron, Michael Rossi, Corey Pottery Brand,
Hey, Mike.
Robert Hazo, Marla Redrick, Anna Munoz, 13, Dan Ebert, Jeannie Benincourt, Anita Menelini, 11, Rey Roxas, Amon Carroll, number 9, Ben Hur, number 8, Maria Munoz, Pow, number 6, Tyler Henford, number 5, Brian Naranjo, number 3, Louis Jambert, David Henning, number 1, Christian Paseda.
Go, Christian.
All right, entire team points.
Let's go.
All right, second last category, number 25, Kim-Anh Evans. Oh my gosh, she's on every
you.
slide. 24, Laura Finney.
Yes,
23, Rey
Laura.
Roxas. Number 22, Nakija Mudro. Number 21, this guy.
Yeah,
Number 20,
Rick.
Bang. 19, Mika Mitchell-Simmons. Number 18, Liz Todorovic. 17, Ramon Soriano de los Santos. 16, Sid Tamavong. 15, Trey Turner. 14, Anisa Menelini. 13, Amon McCarroll. 12, Anna Munoz. 11, Jeannie Benincourt. Top 10 entire team points. Pao Tao, Brian Naranjo, Maria Munoz, Rebecca Lim, Dan
Rebecca,
Ebert,
Dan.
Trisha Vaughn,
Mr.
David
President.
Henning, Christian Cressida, Andrea Sorosa, and number 1, who would it be? Louis Jambert.
LJ.
Encore. Congratulations. Entire team recruits, last category before I pass it on to the great leader, Dan Ebert. Number 20, this guy again. Oh my God. Trey Turner, Randall Cadron, Michael Rossi, 16, Corey Pottery Brand, sorry. Robbie Hazo, Marla Reddick, Anna Munoz, number 13, Dan Ebert.
Go, Dan.
Right, Dan.
Benincourt, Anisa Mendelini, Rey Roxas, number 11, Amon McCarroll, number 9, Trisha Vaughn, Ben Hur, number 8, Maria Munoz, number 6, Pao Tao, Tyler Henford, number 5, Brian Naranjo, number 4, David Henning, number 3, Christian Cressida, number 2, Louis Jambert, who is number 1. Andrea Sorosa, 57.
Awesome.
Woo! All right. So am I doing this, Dan, or are you doing this?
Whoa. That's awesome.
Dan, come back. Come back.
Go for it, Rick.
All right. So first flyer. This flyer looks a little squished, but see it on social media. the real one looks like more, like, LJ looks like, the real shape, not like,
Use my language.
squished up,
Sorry,
This
guys.
is a great poster to share.
Sorry, guys.
Just
Dude almost.
That's okay. I got you, Ivan. So the reign earner in the last few weeks, David Henning, Louis Jean-Bert, Trisha Fawn. Trisha Fawn just crossed $200,000, as I mentioned yesterday. Aman, my good friend, Christian, and Dan Ebert. And Wealth Bowl, don't forget, Wealth Bowl. Get your tickets. Get your tickets from the website, 2025legacy.com. January 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, going to be a great, amazing weekend. If you think the last hour has been great, this is going to be 1,000 times better. So get yourself there, get your team on there to Tampa. We're going to have an amazing time. All right. I think that's all I have. So next speaker to close out this call, my good friend, Dan Ebert. He is amazing. He is a great leader of leaders. You heard Player of the Week last week, and amazing story from Kim-Anh Evans today. Is in his team. He's growing. He is promoting. He is just like doing all this work for the whole company Vantage. And I love him as a friend, as a brother, with Dave. And we are going to kill this thing, make Vantage the #1 best, most valuable company in the world in 5 years. So Dan, close it out.
Cool, guys. Hey, we're going to close it out really quick. Great job, everybody. Dave, great job at the beginning. Kim, very powerful story, right? She's like, if I'm gonna offer this stuff to people, I might as well own it. There's probably people on this call that aren't even clients yet, or don't have everything that we have to offer, even though they have the means and it's available to them. So make sure that you become a product of the product, and that you have everything in your capability to have. When people come down, I show them my accounts. I make sales showing people my accounts. You guys ever done that before? Kim does, right? But if you don't have it, then you can't show it, right? So that's a big thing. Why am I not winning? Well, maybe because, you're not a product of the product quite yet, or there's things that are missing in your portfolio. So that was really good, Kim. Powerful. No excuses. Just battled cancer, got back from it about a year ago, and kicking everybody's butt on this call that's perfectly healthy and doing it, right? And has all the opportunities. So proud of you. You got to the next level today. Ray, thank you for sharing about the 401ks. That was really good, right? It's prospecting, 401ks, right? So it's going to be really good coming up between now and the end of the year. There's a lot of people that are just doing it wrong. So, and then Rick, happy belated birthday. Good job. Rick's like, get me the presentation early so I can pronounce everybody's name right. Rick, you did about 90%. That's an A- in my book. That's very, very good. But that video by John Maxwell, every time I watch that particular one, doesn't it hit you? What leader are you? Are you the leader because you got a title? Are you the leader because you're doing it? Are you a leader because you track record? We've got the leader of leaders in Mr. Levitan. People follow him because of his track record. I promoted 35 people to over $1 million a year. So couple over $10 million a year. That's a very good track record. We have everything available for everybody to go in this thing and just crush it. Next week, we're gonna have some heavy hitters on the call, literally and figuratively, right, LJ? It's gonna be good. Congratulations, Trisha, for hitting over 200K in her first
Yes,
in her
sir.
first 150 days here, right? So making over $1,000 a day in the business on average, and that's from a dead start. So pretty good. So if Trisha can do that, ask yourselves, why is she doing it and maybe I'm not there yet? It all has to do with mentality. It all has to do with hunger, getting it on. Leadership. I'm going to show you a couple little things that I noticed. Everybody that was the ring earners there. I'm gonna tell you one thing they had in common, LJ. They were all here on time. They all were dressed sharp, right? They all had their cameras on. They were all taking notes. And then you got people making nothing that have emojis, that have got seatbelts on because they're driving their car, all these other things, right? So how serious you take this business is how you're going to do in it at the end of the day. I saw this guy Michael Rossi up there. He's fired up. He's ready to go. He was on the recognition. He's watching. He's paying attention. He's got his cameras on. He's taking notes. That's the name of the game, right? It's only our lives that we're dealing with here, right? So, guys, have an awesome weekend. Go crush it this weekend, right? Go find people that are as good as you. Be somebody worth following. Keep pushing for your attendance. If it's just you showing up week after week after week, then maybe there's a hole in your game that you can go to your leader about and go, hey, what's my deal? Why aren't I growing? And they'll tell you the truth. If you're on LJ's team, I know he'll tell you the truth. If you're on my team, you bet your butt I'll tell you the truth, right? If you're on all these other leaders' teams, they're going to tell you the truth, but it's going to be good and constructive so you can get to the next level. So, guys, have an awesome time. Have a great weekend. Go write some policies. Go build your teams. Go crush it. Enjoy. Get some momentum going into the next week. Because guess what? Next week's cycle is already the first. So have a good one, guys. We love you. Take care. God bless. Go smash.
Everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Go.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Peace.
Thank you.
Sorry for my French, guys. Bye.